All right. My name is Peter Russo for 101 Small Business Mastermind. It is 9 o'clock. And say good morning, Dick.
Good morning, Dick.
And say good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Dick.
All right. Quite the show today. It's been a hell of a week for everybody, but we're going to make a great podcast here. We will do a shout out to Charles Greenberg. We ran into him on Tuesday morning, and he says he watches the podcast. So, hi, Charlie. And we'll go from there. All right. Now, update, we're not moving forward with Overheard at Table 2 or our Coffee Talk podcast until after the first of the year when I get the correct hardware technology thing solved. So we just couldn't get a good enough set of gear together to give us good quality video and audio live in situ in these places. So, but I have a path to get there. It's just going to take a little while to do that. And then Dick, of course, is taking a hiatus from the local area anyway. All right, I wanted to show and share. I was over on Google Apps. You get there by your go to your Google Apps here and go to Google Drive, and you have all these things you can do and stuff you can make. Now, the first one I want to show, of course, people know about Google Docs quite often, but they may not know about Google Draw. And so Google Draw allows you to obviously draw here, and in our case, or in my case, I can make website matrix maps, essentially how a site is put together page by page by utilizing Google Draw. So it's quite something to go explore that a bit. You can collaboratively draw. You can share it. You can add comments on it. It's a very, very good tool if you're trying to get a conceptual idea across. Like here's a Vision 1 Golf Matrix version. As I started to put the Vision 1 golf site back together again, you can see how this could make a very nice way to build your website page by page. So that's pretty cool. Then, if you take a look at some of the other stuff, I think I've already got some stuff open here. One of the things, besides, I don't want to necessarily do it, but let me show you. Let's do a new Google Docs. A new feature just put in is you go to the tools and look at this. You've got voice typing capability. I tried it earlier this morning. It took over my mic from our Hangout, so I'm not going to do it. But when you click that, basically a button shows up on the left-hand side that allows you to literally dictate your stuff. And Google Voice does a pretty darn good job. So that's really cool. So those people that just don't type much but need to add content, a phenomenal way to do so. Then let me show you when you want to look up for more apps. Okay, I've got some apps I've already loaded in here. Google Maps. When I do websites, we like to put maps on them. That's kind of cool. Here's a concept board. Let's go to Floor Planner. I was going to show this earlier. And so you say, okay, wow, a floor plan. Well, let me see. Where's my project here? Here's my new floor plan project. Now, this is a mind blower. So you sit here and you can pull out these various things, palettes. They have various different types. This is a living room palette. They have structural, doors, windows, rugs, bedrooms. So you can literally lay out your house, so to speak, and then come over here and look at the 3D version of it. And look at that. Isn't that spectacular?
Wow.
Yeah, wow is no kidding, wow. And you know, so you think of all these real estate places that have houses and stuff. You could essentially decorate the entire bare bones, and these are walls and arches I put in. I don't know how to put walls in yet and doors, but I was just playing around with this. You see, this goes up to a second story. So that whole thing gets mapped out here. I mean, I can move this around. I can pivot it. Let's bring this wall over here. Let's move this wall. Let's see, I want to spin this wall around. If I hold the shift key down, I get it. And I can put that over here. This one goes up over this way. This goes right up over the fireplace on these pillars. Okay, there's some pillars here. So we can take a look at that change. And you can see here's the wall out here, the walls I moved. These are pillars that this wall goes over the top of. How cool is that?
Mm.
In real time. And you can share this and collaboratively work on it. So that's pretty cool. And also now, let me see. They have a new thing here called, well, in the apps, that was Ford Planner. Then they have, I got some other thing, in this Meister Labs, it allows you to do, I think I have it up here over here already, a mind map. Here's a mind map. And I'm not completely versant on this yet, but you can start to put maps out here and connect these mind maps together. And then basically share. So if we had an idea of how to launch a project or we can also do stuff like these, grab these little handles and get those out of the way like that. But if we had an idea we wanted to things that had to happen, here's a survey, landing pages are ready. You can literally do a mind map of your concept and have it collaboratively worked upon, which is a phenomenal opportunity to do stuff. This is all again from Google Docs. And then finally, there's, let me see, there's also a thing called Simple Book, and it's under the down here, Simple Booklet. Okay, and I've already got it opened. And so what the heck is a Simple Booklet? Well, here it is. Here's a booklet capability that you can embed on a website. You can embed it on social media, and so you make a booklet of your product. And so I did this quick yesterday and sent it around. You can see you can put in pictures, you can have text going on in here, etc. And you guys have both seen this, and this is this is like a step between the website and a potential client. And what you haven't seen is I added a last page to this, and the last page is a form generation. But you can buy it, you can share it, and you can email me right from this. And then if you want, you can, and I don't remember how, let's see here, we can preview the booklet and see what it looks like. That's very nice, you know. And then stats, you can look at the stats on it if you were to send it around. There's also a way, there's 14 views. I don't know who viewed it. I haven't figured that out yet. But there's also ways to update it, to edit it, to look at, you can add actions, you can add action styles, email tabs, buy now, which I've done. You can customize it for themes, colors, all that kind of stuff. And then you can share it. And there was a way to actually, and I thought it was in here, let's look at channels, email. So they have quite a few stats on this thing. You can also convert it, and it gives you scores. Let me see if I can see once a week, views, 15 views, customer actions, devices, computers, tablets, or smartphones. Two saw it on smartphones. I don't know how that's possible, but
well, my wife saw it on my smartphone. I showed it to her last night.
Oh, is that right? Well,
yeah, it looks good on the mobile device. Too.
Okay, good. Well, that answers that question. Yeah. But there's, let me see. There was a way, I can't get there, but it actually told you the score of how it looks. Whether you need to add more stuff, and I can't remember where that part is. Darn it. Preview share stats booklets. I'm not seeing it, but basically, as you make this thing, it'll give you at the very end an ability to take a look at the score and see what you need to add. You know, like a call to action, certain buttons, what pages those buttons are on, that kind of thing. So this is really cool, I think, for anybody who has a product or a service. This could be really nice. And the upgrade, to upgrade so you can use these unlimited, $36 a year. And you can, as many books as you want to put, booklets you want to put out there. So I meant, includes 50 reusable web booklets, so that's 50. But if you had one booklet a week you wanted to put out, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, this could be really interesting. And of course, if you want to share it, oh, here it is, right here. Presto Bango, your booklet published score is 53, which is good. And it tells you what I don't have. I don't have an action tab. I can add these just by clicking to them. A custom form, which I actually do. Export as a PDF. Add downloadable files. And that's interesting too, because you could have even further samples of your work. You can get a custom URL and a booklet description. So I didn't put in a booklet description, which is what I probably should do. And you can see how cool is this, right, guys? I mean, yeah. Isn't that something? You know, so from the standpoint of making some stuff happen, it's just absolutely crazy. So I'm really liking that. And any questions on that?
I don't have a question. A comment though. I really think that's, you know, first class product there. I mean, Google's, like I said earlier before we even got on the air, you know, you almost don't need any other software other than Google with all they offer you, and it's all quality stuff. It's trackable and all. But I think the booklet you put together, Peter, is first class. I mean, I haven't played golf in a while, but if I was playing golf, more than likely I'd invest the $20 to see if it really works. And plus, then you give your money back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. So I think it's a first class product.
Frank, any thoughts on that booklet?
Yeah. Again, I like the color of it, the flow of it. I like the fact that it turned the page like an iBook.
Right.
It looked professionally done. The price is unbelievable. Interesting. Google started out competing with Yahoo with their search, and then again, and I don't know very little, but then they competed with Microsoft with their Google Docs and all their free apps. Now they're going to be competing with Uber or with Tesla with self-driving cars. There isn't anything Google is not going to go after.
Well,
and it's either free or, in the case of the simple booklets, $33 a month for
$36 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking 2 lattes a monte.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, one latte a month. And
well, not even one.
Yeah.
Latte is probably about $5.
Right. I mean, so, but again, can they be successful giving away stuff for free?
You bet.
That was facetious. Yeah, obviously, they can.
Well, you know what their end goal is, and when they were in the search business, they were never in the search business. They only used that to essentially gather data. They've always been in the advertising business. That's what they're in. And, you know, Facebook, that's why Facebook is doing so well, because Facebook knows more about their users than Google knows. And so Google wants to join them and allow their content to be searchable. Well, that's not why they're doing that. They're doing that to increase their database on who's who and who's what and who's saying what to who, you know? Amazing.
Amazing.
I mean, we should fire the NSA and just hire Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and also don't hire Snowden. You don't want him to work for you.
I don't know. You know, he's a mixed bag, that's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to get political, but anyway. So yeah, I'm impressed, and obviously, it was not because but it was easy to do. I mean, it was like drag and drop, right?
Yes. Matter of fact, on the back side, we might create a new booklet, and I'll show you the template on the back side of
That is pretty cool.
Dick's talk. So I'm thinking that, with the ability to have, and I've only scratched the surface for some of these free, relatively free apps that Google is pushing out over. And I don't know if I said how we get there. Let me share my screen again. How do you get to all of that stuff? Let me go over here, and we're back over here. When you get to, let me just open up a new tab. Can you all see this new tab?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm already signed in to my account. I just go to what looks to be a keypad, and I go to Google Drive. And Google Drive is where everything exists. These are documents and stuff that I've already done that I can share, and then I can hit the new, and you can add a folder, upload, do all this stuff, more. By the way, I have Google Slides, which basically is PowerPoint, okay? They have templates and all kinds of stuff. And Google Forms we talked about last week, which is phenomenal. I've already used that over on, what site did I use that on? I don't remember which site it was, but, I know which site it was. It was our Coachella Valley Mastermind's site. But, for me, they've got these other things that I'm going to look at, from scripts to HTML and stuff that a geek might use. I also have Project Viewer, which is a big, expensive program that I use in engineering quite often, but they have a version of it here. And then finally, video notes. Apparently, you can leave video notes for people and stuff like that, and here's how you connect to more apps. I didn't show that. So here are all the apps you can get, and as you mouse over, it goes and tells you what it is. The world's most dynamic mathematic software, learn and teach. So it's a great thing for a teacher, right? And so you can see quite a bit of this stuff here. Some of it's redundant. It's not redundant, but replicated. It's a duplicate type of app. But here's your mind mapping app, and online audio cutter app. Fusion tables. Not sure what that is. I guess you can fuse things together. But you can see it goes on, and when you get down to the bottom, it just keeps loading more and more and more. Isn't that crazy?
Amazing.
The world clocks. It is amazing. All of this stuff is there. Mail merge, Facebook video downloader. Oh, you know what? I did want to do that too. I want to show. This is this came up off of virtual reality is heading to a place near you. One of the things that Google's bringing, it just sounds like a Google show here, but Google's bringing this ability to do virtual tours in virtual reality, 3D, to schools and classrooms. So you can take an expedition to, well, I don't know what the whole list is, but you can go to the pyramids, and you literally, all the class put on what they call Google Cardboard, which is literally a punch-out headset that's virtual reality, and you can watch this stuff and you can look and turn. Now I want to show you some of what they did in Star Wars here, but what? This is virtual reality. I can turn and look around. See that?
Amazing.
But this is an example of what's going to be happening with these various tours. So you can actually look around, you can look down, you can look up. I can see, who that is, what that was. Isn't that crazy, guys?
Yeah.
And so pretty soon, and this is a 2D look at a 3D virtual world, but you can see, if you were a Star Wars fan, man, you'd want to be looking at this stuff. What was that? And, How cool is that?
Cool. Very cool.
So it's around the corner, of being. I think Samsung's bringing out a virtual reality headset in November for $99 or something to that effect. So it's really starting to happen that the VR world is starting to really crank. And with the ability to go virtually anywhere in the world and have these VR tours for classrooms, wow, where they can walk up and look at stuff, and it's much better than a bunch of pictures,
Yeah.
So around the corner. Pretty soon maybe we'll have a virtual 3D podcast. Who knows? All right, so let me see. I'm remiss. Any comments before we move on?
No.
No, I'm just impressed with what, again, obviously Sergey, Brandon, and Larry Page, I don't know if they had this much of a vision back when they started Google, or Eric Schmidt, but they've done a great job of growing their influence.
Oh, yeah.
Using technology. Very impressive.
Hey, there you go, Frank.
There we go. That sound is at that time for Twin, This Week in the News, lessons for small business lessons that we get from the headlines. This week's Twin is, Hey Joe Aids, A-D-E-S. Thank you for the small business lesson. And the question always is, who the heck is Joe Aids?
Joe Aids.
Yeah. Well, Joe was born in Manchester, England in 1934, and he died in 2009. So he died at the age of 75, 6 years ago. And as opposed to my other twin, this is a non-techie version of success.
Oh, I'm hardly going to listen to this then. I mean, to heck with that.
With nothing to do with technology. Joe was the youngest of 7 children when he was born, and in England, as I said, in 1934. And Joe left school at the age of 15 to help support his family. Joe's first job was as a gopher in an office, and a lot of times he was sent out to different locations to go get stuff or go bring stuff or whatever he did. And he was intrigued by street vendors. In England, they're called grafters. I think a name that we use here is pitchmen. And Joe says, "Wow, that looks like a fun thing to do," but he wasn't there yet. But Joe sold used comic books. He sold Christmas trees over the years. As successful as Joe was in business, as you'll hear later, not so much on the personal side. Joe was married 4 times. And he was living during his 4th marriage in New York City at the time of his death in 2009. And it was in New York City that Joe decided to follow his dream. And he became a street vendor, just like he saw when he was a kid in Manchester, England. And he sold potato peelers. Yeah, you heard me right. Potato peelers that he sold for $5 each. Why the heck would a guy sell potato peelers? Well, Joe says, well, it's very simple. They're small. They're lightweight. Therefore, Joe could just drag them around because they were heavy. They work. When he sold one, he never got a complaint. And when people first see it, they know what it is, but they couldn't believe that that's what Joe was selling, a potato peeler on his street in New York City. And unless there was snow on the ground, Joe went out 6 days a week selling potato peelers on the streets of New York City. Well, how well did Joe do selling $5 potato peelers, which, by the way, they cost $1 each, man? Well, Vanity Magazine in 2007, I guess it was, 2008, published an article about Joe where they called him the $1 million potato peeler salesman. Joe lived in a posh apartment on Park Avenue, and 6 nights a week, Joe and his wife dined at the finest restaurants, and they drank the finest wines. Not bad for a high school dropout who sells $5 potato peelers on the streets of New York City. Wow. In my research, I identified 4 things that Joe did that made him so successful. Number 1, Joe refused to get a street vendor's license. So he was constantly looking for new locations, and he did, and the cops would come by and say, Joe, you gotta move. So he became friends with the cops. But Joe did that because he didn't want people to know where he was going to be, because then he would become boring. He wanted people to stumble upon his new location and tell their friends that said, hey, we just found out where Joe is today. He's at this corner on 5th and 48th Street. Come on down. And it became an event. And Joe always wore a $1,000 suit and an expensive iron starch shirt and an expensive tie when he was selling. So he didn't look like your typical street vendor. Number 2, Joe would set up his stuff in tote boxes.
No.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Well,
I say we have a technical problem.
Houston, we have a problem.
There you go with live podcasting.
Shit happens.
Am I back? Am I back?
Yeah, but you're sideways, but you're back.
You're back.
Did you hear me curse?
The tote box. He was always avoiding everybody in a tote box. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, for everybody that's watching, Frank is doing this via his cell phone.
All right. Am I back?
Still sideways? No, you're still sideways.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, this will drive me nuts. Let me get
this. You were closer for a minute.
Right there.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Tote boxes. Okay. And
Yeah,
he sat on a camper stool by design, which was very low to the ground. Why the heck would he do that? Okay. And here's the reason why. As people gathered around Joe to see and hear his pitch, the people walking by could only see the backs of the people. They didn't know what they were looking at. So it forced the people who were walking by to do something special, to either peek over or step around or whatever, in order to see what Joe was doing. He made them do something extra to see Joe. And I was able to get a copy of Joe's script, and there's lessons here as well. Here's what Joe said when he had an audience, sitting on a camper stool on the street of New York City, selling a $5 potato peeler. Here it is. And I quote, when you peel a potato, it doesn't matter if you're right-handed, left-handed, or like a politician, underhanded. So Joe grabbed him right away with a little bit of humor. All you take off, and you go like this, is that thin layer of skin. You got no waste, and you do it in record time. All of a sudden, this potato peeler was a magic thing. Okay, and when you come to an eye, you just scoop it out, because here's a scoop, and he would scoop out an eye. He says, get a little closer. He says, you will see better, and come on, don't worry, I won't ask you for money. You are quite safe. He says, and you do not have to buy a potato peeler to watch. He says, matter of fact, you may already have one of these. I've sold thousands. So if so, I'll give you a refresher course. And that was the end of Joe's talk. At the end of this talk, Joe states that the potato peelers cost $5 each. And if you buy 4, I'll give you one for free. You can give 4 to your friends. And the guy would buy one. He says, well, obviously you have no friends. And all of a sudden people were giving him $20 and buying 5 at a time. And Joe would take out a wad of bills out of his suit pocket and wait for the people to give him money, and they were eager to buy. Now, there are many small business lessons in this pitch, and now I'm going to discuss them later. Then somebody once offended Joe. I think it was during the Vanity Fair interview. They called him a salesman. And Joe says, I'm not a salesman. I could not sell anything one-on-one. I couldn't sell real estate. I couldn't sell cars, for example. He says, what I like to do is pitch to a crowd, draw a crowd together, and have them give me money. Interesting approach. Joe didn't sell. He gave a presentation to a crowd. So here are the 4 small business lessons I got out of Joe 8's story. Lesson number 1. Joe did not chase prospects. He sat on the street and he let the crowd find him. The lesson is, wouldn't it be nice to be found by the people looking for what you do? Okay. Number 2, Joe never described the history of the potato peeler because his audience didn't care. How many prospects don't care how old your company or how many clients you have? They don't care when you first meet them. Okay. Lesson number 3. Joe never discussed the features or the benefits of his potato peeler. He demonstrated what his audience could do if they bought a potato peeler from Joe. And the thing is, every one of Joe's audience knew what a potato peeler was. They've seen them in stores hanging on a rack, probably costing no more than $1. But until they stopped and listened to Joe and took the time for him to see what they could do and how they feel, that's when they decided to Joe. People don't buy what your product does. They buy how they feel after they use your product. And I was reminded of John Taffer, the star of Bar Rescue on Spike TV. And I love this line by him. He was telling a bar owner, he says, "You're not selling Coronas. I can buy Coronas anywhere. You're selling the customer experience." And lesson number 4, which I think puts everything in perspective. Someone asked Joe, "How can you have made so much money selling $5 potato peelers?" And here was Joe's response. "You know how you do that? You sell a lot of them." He says, never underestimate a small amount of money. It all adds up. And gentlemen, that's my twin for this week about Mr. Joe Age, the $1 million potato peeler.
Well, in some ways, selling the customer experience, we're going to look at Vision One Golf again, but one of the guys that was helping me way back when, he made a statement. He says, Vision One Golf make golfing fun again. That's an experience.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize golf wasn't fun. But if you're not performing at the level you want, and it's always frustrating, and Dick, you were a golfer. I never golfed, so I don't know, but making golf fun again. How's that strike you, Dick?
Well, it's very true, because the market you're going to. I mean, I never thought I was a good enough golfer to get upset when I hit a bad shot. But I'd play in tournaments and stuff. I get very frustrated because I didn't do a good job for me or my partner or whatever. So yeah, if that's a great tagline, because I think there's a lot of one of the reasons I stopped playing, because I couldn't get any better and it wasn't fun. So yeah, I guess you could say that's true.
Peter,
yeah.
Peter, why isn't that the soundbite under your title, Vision One Golf, on your front page?
Yeah. It should be.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I brought it up. I mean,
that's a great line.
Joe's potato peeler reminded me of that, and that in fact, and that was a guy by the name of Carl Braum, and he was like the third person that really jumped in and said, "Hey, we got to do something with this," So, and when he made that comment that in fact it made golfing fun again for him, his son was in a golf pro school there in San Diego, and 4 hours of working with me made a huge difference in his game. And everybody said, "What happened to you? Where did you get all this talent?" It wasn't. It was the program, but it makes golfing fun again.
Yeah.
So I like that. So you'll send me some links on your research there, Frank?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Good. For show notes.
Yeah.
All right, Dick. You're
all right. I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with an email marketing campaign that I did. But first, I just want to talk a little bit about the iPhone. When it first came out, everybody fell in love with it. Everybody thought it was the greatest thing in the world, except there was a couple people that didn't. And Steve Jobs was at a press conference, and a reporter stood up and says it doesn't work. So Jobs tilted his head, and the reporter said, he or she kept making typos and the keys were too small for her thumbs. And Jobs just smiled and replied, "Your thumbs will learn." And I think that's just, I think everyone in business has to have that conviction about your potato peeler process or whatever you're doing. Is your thumbs will learn, your clients will learn, you'll learn, and I learned by making mistakes, like we all do, and I hope I capitalize on the mistakes. As you know, we talked a few weeks ago about an email campaign and a video that I put together with Peter's help, and I was sending it out to 350 email addresses that had opted in, and they're titled Human Resources. And I, had great expectations to, at least get a 2 or 3% return of an opening, and maybe 1% clients and all. And to my I guess shock and dismay, I had no one look at the video, and only 9 people out of 300 even read the email or opened up the email. I don't know if they read it, they opened it up. And there was, I got that a Friday afternoon. I started looking at the stats, and I was really depressed pretty much the whole weekend. And I kept looking at the video and the email. I must have read it 25, 30 times, thinking, "What did I do wrong here?" And I got convinced, and I talked to Peter about it a couple of days later. I said, that video wasn't that bad, that no one would have watched it. The email wasn't that bad. And I started thinking, what went wrong here? And I think I made a really dumb decision based upon talking with Reference USA and how they can target for it. I didn't do a good enough job qualifying who I was sending that email to and the demographics of the company that I was trying to approach. I told them I wanted people in companies in Riverside County with 20 to 25 employees. And as I got to thinking about it, I didn't qualify that well at all, because companies that small generally don't have human resource people. Maybe those emails, weren't qualified; they were just off a mailing list. And I just did a lot of soul searching, and I was convinced, and I don't think I'm looking at this through blinders. I was convinced that the product that of the email and the video, I think were good. Could we make some changes? Absolutely. The targeting of the audience was awful, and then. I think it was that the following week, Phil came on and started talking about what he's doing with Facebook, and Peter's been investigating, and I realized I did an awful job of determining my target audience. I didn't do the research. I took the word of a sales guy, and I'm not blaming him. I'm the one who made the decision, and I just didn't do the due diligence and the targeted audience, and spent the time doing that I should have. And so I sent out what it was probably a scale of 1 to 10, an 8 type of an email advertising thing, maybe, or a 7. And I sent it out to a targeted list that I probably got a 0 on as far as preparation. So I learned, and I learned from what Phil has said, and Frank, you've reinforced it, and Peter's been doing a lot of stuff. I learned, and like what Peter is going to talk about his booklet. I mean, I sent him an email last night. I said I think it's some of the best work he's done with the booklet at his website. But if he doesn't get that to the right people, it's just not going to do anything. And the lesson I learned that I want to pass on to anyone that's listening is, do your homework, due diligence, and make sure you have the right targeted audience for the message you're trying to deliver. And I think it was a very, I won't say expensive lesson because it didn't cost a fortune to get it, but it was expensive in the amount of time and effort that was put in by myself and Peter and my wife reading it over and over. We spent so much time on the message, we just didn't spend any time on who we were sending the message to, and obviously the people we sent the message to did not really care about it because none of them looked at it. So that's my little entrepreneur thing. Make sure a campaign, be it email or phone or whatever, make sure you do the total planning, total process. Peter showed that the brain minder thing where you can plot it out and all this thing. It's not the glamorous part of the job, but it's probably the most important part of the job, because you can have the finest video in the world. If nobody looks at it, it doesn't mean a damn thing. So I learned a valuable lesson. I just wanted to pass that along to everybody on what not to do in an email campaign. So that's it for me.
Did you ever get the list from them?
No, I didn't.
Are you still pursuing that?
Yes, I am. I say,
yeah. Because, we had 8 people open the email.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
looked at the video. We really need to do a post-mortem on
right.
what
No,
got
I've
them to open
been playing phone tag. They're calling back. I mean, Reference USA is a reputable outfit. I don't blame them one bit for the lack of success. I blame myself for my lack of really, truly preparing the campaign. But we're playing phone tag, getting back and forth to each other. So
I got up to get, this is a booklet that I had made professionally for me. Sometime, well, this is probably in the mid-90s, but very interesting stuff. Now, this booklet cost me $3,500 to get made. I mean, and it's all black and white and talks about the people that I've worked with and all that kind of good stuff. With that the simple booklet thing, it can work out so much better.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do this on your own now. It doesn't cost you $3,400,
Yeah.
But very interesting.
Yeah.
One of the things that we did learn based on your information there, Dick, was in fact Facebook might be the right answer to take your time to super target the audience that we wanted. So the material that we developed wasn't wasted. It just needs to have another run at the right group of people.
Right. I don't. I'm still using. I've sent it to a couple of people that I've talked to about. And they've opened it up. So it's not a waste. And the waste was not doing the proper planning. And Phil opened my eyes when he was on a couple weeks ago and showed us that type of thing. So be it Facebook, I'm getting stuff from Twitter all the time. Similar type of things. The message is you have to spend as much time preparing the list of people, your target audience, the people you want to go to, as you do preparing the material you're going to send them, because it just falls on deaf eyes, I guess you'd say. They could have. We have the real catchy email subject. You got some secretary sitting there that's supposedly the human resource person for 20. When you think of it, 20 people companies don't have human resource department. It's the owner. It's somebody else that fills in on it, and so it really was just not well thought out.
We might have even done some market research based on that list, call them and see.
Yeah.
And we probably should have spot called people to see if they really do have an HR person.
Right.
But again, hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah. So, but I think it's a valuable lesson for anyone that's running a business and wants to do a marketing campaign of any kind, is really do the total package of the planning. And then then be like Steve Jobs and have confidence in your product and go forward. So
it's interesting too, because the little bit of time I did work with Phil on getting ready to go after a Vision One golf thing off of Facebook, one of the things we all commented on, where do we live?
Mm-hmm.
The Mecca of golf, right?
Yeah.
That's what we believed, right? Yeah. It's a lie. It's not true.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. There are very few golfers here. There's a lot of people that come into golf. That's true. And
we're probably the Mecca of golf from January to April.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And so on that, as Phil and I were expanding, we started with our zip codes for the valley here. There wasn't enough people to send anything to. It was so low, which was shocking. That I had to go all the way to Huntington Beach. Is the #1 place where all the golfers residing in California. It's Huntington Beach.
Yes.
Even above San Diego, which is crazy.
Yeah.
San Diego has 87 golf courses inside of San Diego. I think the last time I looked, you know.
Right. And another area to search would be Vancouver and Washington State, because the valley is full of people from that area in the wintertime.
Well, yeah, the first wave out's going to be California.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
right.
my first trial run.
Right.
And it was interesting. We looked for males only, ages 45 to 64. We did 65, but there are very few golfers above 64 years old. I was shocked at how few there really were. The bulk were in the 50s. And so we started to narrow down who and how many had college degrees, how many owned their own business, their income levels at their houses, and how many owned their own houses. I mean, it was amazing. So you're looking for disposable income. You know, it was amazing, the demographics that take time. And just like AdWords, Facebook wants to just sell you a buckshot of these things, and you get what you get. You know, and Phil's talking, no, you have to weed your way through and pick out just the ones you can't even copy. You have to write them down. And then when you're ready, you rewrite those in. Those are the ones you're after. So it doesn't make it easy.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
So
wow.
you didn't do any research on women golfers?
Phil suggested no, just go for males.
And
And
half the golfers here are women.
well, that's what we think.
Well, I'm just talking about what I know here, where I live.
We thought,
Where I live.
yeah, but there's just not enough of them.
But not here, maybe. You may be eliminating half of your potential clients.
It's possible, but I think, you know, Phil's been working this for quite some time, so I'm going to listen to what he has to say. Maybe the second run out we go after women, you know. But right, our first volley is at our biggest group of people that the Facebook claims that are there realistically.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that almost harkens back to when I started using Market Samurai to find keywords. I used to put keywords in websites all the time that I thought were popular, and turned out to be garbage, absolute garbage. I was shocked. I still get surprised to this day on keywords via a tool that really knows it. And what we think and what is real, completely two different things. And it shows the value of having these types of tools if you're going to do any marketing on the web or at all. I mean, I firmly believe that we lived in the mecca of golf, that this was the haven. This is the place they come to. They don't live here. So we have to get them in another place. Interesting. Okay. So,
Question. Statement.
Yes.
Statement. Thinking about what you just talked about, and I know some of the capabilities of Facebook. How about if you would have put a campaign together, and the focus of this campaign was how to play your best golf after the age of 55. And you targeted the 55 plus people, males or females, and your Vision 1 golf booklet was Vision 1 Golf, how to play your best golf, because your stuff works, at least how you described it to me, for those who are 55 or older. And all of a sudden you've got a narrow niche, and people see that on their timeline on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm 55. Yeah, how the hell did he know I'm 55 and I played golf? Well, that's how you know. And how do you play your best golf? Well, let me click on this. What the hell is he talking about? And again, just an idea, Peter, of how you could further segment into separate.
I'm certainly gonna talk with you guys when I learn how to get all this stuff done and how to get my audience and put out waves of campaigns. Absolutely going to happen. Absolutely going to happen based on good data. And interesting enough, the other day I was listening to Leo Laporte, the tech guy, on This Week in Tech, or TWIT, and he mentioned about all the IP devices that people have in their houses, and so what I must be behind the times here. Well, turns out smart houses with thermostats and this and that, and you can have lots of different things on an IP address that you can control with your smartphone. Well, I kind of knew that in the back of my head. Phil pulled one out. He says, "God, it's hot. I'm going to fix my thermostat right now." I said, "Well, okay, I'll wait till you get back." He goes, "No, I just do it on my smartphone." But they said, "Oh, who's got an IP coffee pot? A coffee pot on their IP address?" Didn't even know they existed. So I did a search on Amazon for IP coffee pots. What's the big deal? And sure enough, when I was over on Facebook, guess what ad comes up? IP coffee pot.
I mean, that's like Lou Gehrig dying of Lou Gehrig disease. How would that even happen?
Yeah, well, I think you did say that. Lou Gehrig did die of Lou Gehrig's disease.
What a coincidence.
By definition. Right. So, yeah, it was just times are really changing, and I actually think to the positive, because if you think about it, I don't want ads that have no relevance to my life. I would like to have ads that solve problems in my life, and I'm more apt to push that button, and they're absolutely right, and that's the right answer. If I'm a vegetarian, which I try to be, I don't want steak ribeye, ads. They're worthless to me. Give me fresh vegetables delivered by an Uber driver. Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Now, imagine if we could do that same thing on broadcast TV, where you only saw ads that you were interested in.
It'll happen.
Wow.
It will happen. It will happen because I believe that even with Apple TV, they know who you are, right?
Yes.
And they know what you watch, and they just pump that forward into the advertising stream, and ads will be relevant on TV with you one day in the future. And then they should be. I am so sick and tired of William Devane. Oh, yeah, William Devane. What's in your safe? Gold line. It's just, I am so sick of this guy. I'm telling you, it's just as bad as the President of the United States. As soon as I see him, I go the other direction. I can't stand it. And so basically the hammering of William Devane on Fox News, for example, has just absolutely spoiled me I'll never do business with that company. I don't give a heck who they are. It's just, and that's the wrong answer for the advertiser. They don't know.
Well, I have maybe a little worse answer for advertisers. My wife and I no longer watch TV when it's shown.
Right.
We watch TV after it's shown because we record it, and we do it for two reasons. The second reason is convenience, because we want to. Okay, let's watch the show. You know what the main reason is? We fast forward through commercials.
Right.
And these companies are paying thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to have the $1 million produced commercial for 30 seconds on a TV show, a popular TV show that we're probably watching, and I don't watch the commercials because I don't want to. And I don't have to, and I won't.
What happens to me, and I think it happens to a lot of people, when TiVo, the TiVo boxes were invented, I remember the big hoopla of skipping ads and the chill that sent in the advertising world. But it turns out, as you pass the ads, you're actually looking at the pictures to see if there's an ad you haven't seen or you might want to see. That happens quite frequently. Mm-hmm. So even though we're skipping them, oh, that's William Devane. Thank God I got past that one. Oh, this is Fred, what's-his-face, selling reverse mortgage. I don't want that. I don't want. Oh, wait a second. There's Star Trek. What are they talking about? Stop, back up, take a look at it. So even with that, 46 minutes of programming for an hour program, the rest are all freaking ads. By the way, there's an interesting note to that. It was many years ago, but European TV didn't have ads. And I remember returning servicemen coming from Europe, and the family just wanted to watch the ad. They missed ads. So that comment was said to me more than once. They're glad to be back in the States so they can watch the ads. Well, I don't know how sick that is, but go figure. They want to watch ads, but they're going to watch ads. So, all right. Any more on that? Otherwise, I want to go look at a new booklet.
Nope.
Okay. Simple booklet. Here we go. All right. Now, I want to get a blank booklet. Now, see, it's interesting because you have different. Here's a square booklet, half-page booklet. Landscape, I'm going to do a landscape booklet. Vision 1, 2, let's do it next. We'll just create. Okay. Now what happens is you get these, let me see. Save that. Okay. So here's your blank booklet, and that's really not what I want. I want to get a template. Click here to start adding content. You can do text, titles, headings, image. But what I did yesterday, let me just do a new. Let me see. I want to do a new booklets, templates. Let's see. Do the top 5. Well, let's just do any. Select that one. Won't let me select it. Well, darn it. I wanted to show something here. Oh, here we go. So here is my new product. Click here to add an image. This is what I used before. So you can actually go through each page, and it tells you what to add and why. Okay. So here are the 3 images that I added. Describe your features in your product here, illustrated with 3 photos. So this is really almost point and shoot kind of thing, click and drop and drag. And the paragraphs can scroll. You can have more than just the text that's there. It tells you the size of the image, and it'll actually crop images for you. Let me just put one in here. And it just takes it and crops it right in there. See how nice that is?
Yeah.
And wow. Also, if we get back to the front, now see these call to action buttons to share or email. Let's see here. We can add action styles. We can add buy tab and give the web address here. It gives you a drop down to add to this page only or add to all pages. And it adds it. See how the little buy button came there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes a product. It sound like I own stock in this company, but I don't. But an ability to make an online product like this that you can spread everywhere is just a mind blower, I think. I don't know what all this stuff does here. You can add new pages. Obviously, you can duplicate this page. You can trash the page. You can display the page layout. So, I mean, it really gives you lots of font themes, button themes, color themes. You can really spend some time in here, which I can add up shapes, clip art, hot links even. That's something I haven't added before. A downloadable file. Here's more. You can get the embed code and embed the document, the web page, maps, custom code, PDF conversion. And whoever thought this up was brilliant, I thought. And I think that if people are listening and they have a product to sell, I mean, can you imagine Charles Greenberg, for example, making this about cruising? Makes 4 or 5 or 6 of these. He sends out every other month or something, with actual pictures and stuff. I mean, priceless, I think, Yeah. And, Dick, we ought to be using it for Legal Shield.
Yeah.
For your 3 product areas. Right. And Frank, even 27 seconds.
Yeah.
It could be priceless. So I'll stop sharing that, and we're coming up on our hour mark. So this went by quick.
Yeah.
Any comments on that, guys?
No, I think it's a great tool. Used properly, it's a wonderful tool to use.
And Frank, thank you, Frank. Yesterday, when you looked at it, he said, "Where's the buy button?"
Yeah, well,
I went back and said, "Oh, there is a buy button. I can have that."
There you go.
This is what
No,
you have. Mastermind.
I guess the comment I'd like to make is, and correct me because this is my impression as of right now because I'm watching all this stuff for the first time. The rapid advances in technology is reducing the need for technologists to help me, who's not a technology person.
Well, and in this case too, it also helps to reduce the marketing because they're prompting you to think about, like Dick talked about, let's do our research, right? They're prompting you to add the right stuff in there, you know, and forcing you to stop and think about it. I mean, if you think about the computer repair store, we ought to be doing this booklet for our new IT business, you know, and putting it out to companies, you know, and sharing it on social media. Now, it also cries that you need a list. You need a list to send to, or in the Facebook thing, we can send this out with these ads, you know, I think anyway. And later today, when I get the booklet the way I want, I'm actually going to put it out on Facebook or Hootsuite and slam it out there and ask for some opinions. But basically, you're also marketing, you know?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting. We ought to go buy stock of the company now that we let loose on a public media here, you know?
Yeah.
All right, any other thoughts, guys?
No.
That's it.
All right, say goodnight, Dick.
Good night, Dick.
Good night, Dick.
Frank. All right, hang on, guys.